Wow. So we just finished the game. After I finish these Let's Plays, I like to do kind of a post-mortem, kind of a, not so much a review, but just a overall feeling. And man, this game leaves you with a sad... Okay, so this is going to be full of spoilers. This is literally, I'm recording this just after watching the end of the game, and I'm totally going to watch the end of the game. So if you haven't played the game, or you haven't watched my Let's Play, you know, play it. Play the game, because it is a fantastic game. But the ending is hard. You know, you save Carl, and that's awesome. You know, you really think that Carl's gonna be dead, and then when Emil dies, you know, he's got this long, slow walk, kind of remembering all the people he's met and getting saluted by soldiers, and it's hard. It's hard to watch. It's really tough. You know, you really feel a connection with these characters. It's like reading a book or watching a really good movie. You immediately feel connected to these characters on a really deep level. I'm really impressed with this game. Overall, you know, I don't think I've felt as connected to characters since I played The Last of Us. And, you know, the story arc for each of the characters is really involving. You know, you gotta love Freddy right off the bat, but Emil and Carl and even Anna, you kind of get to know over a longer period of time, and you really get connected to them. I'm really impressed with this game. The gameplay itself.
Hungry for more, the war was not yet over. Its appetite was infinite.
Wow, so we got a little extra... I got a little extra bit there just for watching the credits go by. And, you know, so I love this game. I absolutely love this game. I'm super happy that I purchased it and that I played through it. A lot of games, they lose me halfway through, you know. Thief was that way. I really enjoyed the beginning of that game, and as I kept playing it, just was so repetitive, and the story just wasn't that involving, so I just kind of got bored with it. This game kept me going all the way through. You know, they changed up the activities enough. You know, it's a very simple game. You know, it's 2D kind of side-scrolling adventure game, I suppose, where you're just trying to solve puzzles, and the puzzles never got so frustrating that you got mad at the game and wanted to put it down. They were always, you know, even the more difficult ones were always within reach. You know, you might have to spend 10 minutes figuring it out, but they were within reach, and they weren't ridiculous like the old Scum puzzles from the LucasArts days. They weren't like, you know, put a fish on the end of a stick to, you know, make a flagpole or something like that. You know, this was, you had to find a gear to make, you know, machinery work, or, you know, something like that, or find a basket to put your dog in so that you could raise them up to the next level. So all of that stuff was, it was fun. You know, it never drew you out of the experience, and that was great. Emotionally, you know, I think that's where this game is the emotional impact of this game was really strong, and it was really fun to play through, and it was really fun to get to know these characters. And I think I'll remember this story for a long time, just like a book or a movie that really kind of affect you. You know, I didn't know a whole lot about World War I. I didn't know, you know, I knew about the Spanish flu that happened at the time, and I knew it was, you know, the first Great War. But putting faces to it and kind of like pulling those stories out of those letters, and even the little baubles that you collect, and you kind of learn more about what life was like, you know, like the rags that the soldiers would pee on to use as gas masks, you know, that stuff really was affecting. And when I started the game, I started off kind of making fun of the characters and, you know, making a joke out of everything. But as I played, I got so involved in the characters and their struggles that I actually, you know, it felt fake for me to make fun of them. I was just involved in it, and I really wanted to see them succeed, even though they're fictional characters. So I'm really impressed with this game. I think that the gameplay was just great. You know, it was exactly what it needed. It was not repetitive. It never felt like I was just doing the same thing over and over again. I think the length of the game was good too, because it told a short, compact story. and it was really effective at what it was doing. So I'm really impressed with this game. I'd highly recommend it to anybody who hasn't played it. Hopefully you're not watching this if you haven't played it, or if you haven't watched all the way through the Let's Play. But I think that's going to wrap it up. I'm really happy with this game. I think it was fantastic. I think it might be one of the best games that's come out this year. There's a lot more to look forward to at the end of the year, but this was a really nice summertime surprise. You know, absolutely amazing. Ubisoft deserves a lot of credit for getting this game made and releasing it. You know, it's probably not going to be a super hit, you know, just the content. You know, there's no big action, there's no, you know, you're not going in guns blazing. There's a couple of times when you play as Freddy and you get to drive a tank, and that's nice because it kind of breaks up the emotional weight with like a little bit of action with Freddy, but then you also get a little bit of humor here and there. And again, like, that serves to kind of make the emotional gravitas kind of bearable during the game. And yeah, I just keep coming back to, like, emotionally, like, this game is just, it really tugs at your heartstrings. Kind of right from the beginning, you know, when Carl gets pulled away from his wife and son, who's just a baby, and then, you know, his struggle to get back to see his son, who he hasn't seen since he was a baby, and see his daughter, and Emil's struggle to, you know, find Carl and get Carl back, and Freddy's struggle to kind of revenge the death of his wife, you know, his newlywed wife. All of it, you know. Even Anna just trying to save as many people as she can. She doesn't care if they're French or Canadian or German. She can't stand to see all this dying. It was really, really amazing. You know, each character kind of had a story, a nice arc, and, you know, Emil's death at the end was really affecting. It really was an effective story to tell. I'm really happy with this game. It's one of those things where I'm so pleased that I got an opportunity to experience this, and I got to give Ubisoft credit, and Ubisoft Montreal did an awesome thing making this game. So hats off. Thank you guys very much for watching this playthrough. You know, I'm a little down, right? Because I just watched Emil's death, and you know, you can tell I'm just a little bit down about it. I didn't want him to die. You know, it's just a fictional character, but that's the weight of fiction, right? Even though you know that these are fictional characters, you still get attached to them. There's something about us as humans that we can still find a way to get attached to people we know aren't even real. So that's going to wrap this up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.